The recording. Hello, hello. Happy New Year, everybody. So glad to see your smiling faces. So nice to have, us back to just regular meetings without holidays on Mondays and all that madness. It is 2019. We are back to business, and I'm excited to have all of you on the call. I've got some ambitions for us for this year, which we can talk about a little bit while we're all together. Would love to get your thoughts on some of the things that I'm thinking about for next steps for us as a group. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and as usual, we will take your questions and see what's on your mind and use that as a starting point for where we go from here. So let's start with just a round of introductions from who's in the room. And I'm going to start with Melanie, who is in the top left corner of my screen and who I have not seen in a while and who I am excited to see here. So welcome back, Melanie. Happy New Year. What is going on in your world? Tell us your story and introduce yourself, because we got some fresh faces in the group today as well.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm Melanie Benayet, and I have a co-working space, Wing Space, in Prescott, Arizona. And we just opened in April of 2018. And we're fluctuating between 35 and 40 members right now. So I am joining so that I can be geared up for this new year. So.
All right. What's your focus? Like what are you trying to, where's your head at going into this new year now?
My focus is on programs, really developing plenty of programs here for members and non-members to participate, and also getting my event space area in use over weekends so that I can start generating money in other ways.
Perfect. Excellent. And do you have plans already in place, or are you kind of trying to come up with that? What are you thinking so far?
A little of both. I do have, I have revamped your COBOS program based on feedback that I received from the participants last year. I had 3 different sessions last year, and they requested more structure, and so I, revamped it and provided some different types of groups that they can join and different types of activities they can participate in during the duration of the COBOS Mastermind program. And then I also have a gentleman who's going to run a code school out of here, and I have QuickBooks workshops and those kind of things going on. They're already on the calendar. So I've got stuff happening, and people renting the space to use to do their workshops now.
Great. Awesome. I love it. I love that it's like a really detailed, like you've got a lot of ambitions going on here. So we're going to need to talk about, I guess, how to manage all of that, which is exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Melanie. And that's right in line with what I'm thinking about for the rest of the group as well. So cool. So is that Katrina we've got here from the Vibe?
Yeah, I guess you guys can hear me now.
Yes.
Everybody?
Yeah, I can hear you. Awesome. Welcome to the group. So nice to see you. It looks like you've got a lovely place that you're in right there. And,
yeah, I'm actually next door to my space. We did a little progress update today, so I'm in the coffee shop next door to my space. So kind of like looking around, making sure I'm not talking too loud.
That's funny. It looks like a cozy bedroom. It's like a really cozy looking cafe vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool little place. It's been here for a while. So, I'm excited about that too, because it's right next door. So people can kind of come down here and get the local feel and then hop over next door and get some work done. So, but anyway, yeah. So, hi everybody. I'm Katrina Nichols, and we are pioneering the very first co-working space in Alexandria. So we are in the middle of the state. We're about 3 hours north of New Orleans and 2 hours south of Shreveport. We are in the build-out phase, so there's a lot going on. And, I'm just kind of working on my marketing strategy right now, making sure that people figure out who we are. So that's what I'm focusing on.
And can you just tell us a little bit more about your timeline? Like where are you at in the process and kind of what's happening next?
Yeah, so that was our meeting this morning. We met with our contractor, trying to kind of finalize some deadlines. And it looks like they're going to be done with flooring, paint, and all that kind of great stuff at the end of the month. So then we can get in there and get all of our offices built and our kitchen stuff finished up. So the lease starts in February, and I'm kind of trying to go for a March open date. So there's just a lot happening right now. I can feel it because I'm starting to toss and turn at night. So I'm like, okay, it's here.
You're going to see a lot of empathetic smiles from this group.
Yeah.
People who have been or currently are
very tired.
That process. So yeah, totally feel you on that. Welcome, Katrina. We have so much to talk about. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining. Okay, we've got Tamara next. Hi, Tamara. Welcome. Happy New Year. How are things for you?
Happy New Year. Can you hear me?
Can hear you. It's a little low, but we can hear you.
Okay, is that any better?
Yeah, it is better actually. Yeah.
Here, I'm just gonna tape it right there.
You drop it down. It probably will be okay.
Hey, Katrina, could you give us your website so I can add you to my bookmarks of co-working spaces? That'd be great. Okay, so here in just a few minutes while we're talking, I'm gonna have to finish putting on my eye makeup because I'm going to be interviewed on a TV, internet TV show, business show here in a second, in an hour, and I'm not ready. So,
oh
so
boy, congrats.
Thanks. So what am I working on? New year. I was very blessed to take some time off this last couple of weeks, which is the only time of year that I ever do. But we also did a lot of reworking and changing things around and purging here at Ensemble. Oh, I'm with Ensemble Co-working. I'm so sorry. In Fort Worth, Texas. Sorry about that. And what are we supposed to be doing? My brain is fried this morning. It's just our first day back. Right? And
where's your head at as far as what you're going to focus on for now in terms of the new year and everything?
Okay, so I pulled the trigger last night and I hired a community manager.
Woo!
No lie, I'm shitting in my pants about this, paying somebody, but I've got some reserves, so I'm good. It's a longtime member, someone who used to be a conductor for me, who worked my front desk. She's amazing. I'm really excited about it. It's part-time. It's only 30 hours a week right now, but I'm thrilled because I have two new space opportunities that I'm working on. And if I don't get someone to manage this space, then nothing's going to happen moving forward. So so I'm still on the moving forward phase in this space that I talked to Tony about. I'm not moving forward probably in partnering with somebody, but I have yet to have that conversation with this person. But I know that the landlords, the building owners want me there, so that's all that matters. So that's caused a lot of for me, and then of course trying to implement a lot of new programming as well. Still, I think like Melanie said, a little bit of a tweak on the COBOS. I haven't done it yet, but just based on my knowledge of some things like that, there's a lot of great stuff that Tony's provided that I'm going to implement. And so a lot of new programming we're bringing in, and a lot of exciting stuff that also comes with fear, but that's exciting as well. If you're not scared shitless, then you know you're not moving in the right direction.
That is the thing. Life moves crazy fast, and we fortune favors the bold. So congrats, Tamara, and we're gonna do our part to help make sure that this all goes as well as it possibly can. Let's get your new CM on one of these calls. What's their name?
I haven't. It's Megan. I haven't
Megan.
made the announcement yet. So once I do that, I did want ideas on names on a title for her, because I don't know if I like community manager, and she wasn't really crazy about it either. And
did you said that the desk chair volunteers at the front desk are called conductors?
yes.
I wrote that down. I feel like that's such a great name. It's a great name because it's like there's the, obviously like there's the implications of that. What about superconductor?
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. That's cool.
I don't know.
Yeah. So all of our conference rooms are named after musical things. The band room, orchestra, jam session. Our memberships are all musical. So yeah. Okay. I'll have to do what you
Orchestrator. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Fun. All right. Noted. And let's definitely get Megan on a call. All right. We got 9 people in the room. Goodness gracious. So many people to catch up with. All right. Awesome. Tamara. Congrats. Jen. Hello, Jen. Welcome back. Good to see you. I love the hat. It's a good look. I like it.
Thanks. It's my, I didn't do my hair today look. So, hey everybody, Jen, right outside of Chicago, Day House Co-working, which for the past 4 months has been 6 weeks away from opening. So, right now we are, 6 weeks from opening. I've kind of come to peace with it a little bit. I was in a trough very much and getting a little down about it, but in construction there are 3 factors: good, fast, or cheap. Pick 2, and we have good and cheap. So they're not fast, but they're good and they're cheap. So let's see. We had a member holiday luncheon just before Christmas that went very, very well. We had, I think, 10 people show up, and it was wonderful. All these connections were being made, and like conversations happening across the table, and just people really, really got together well, and that was so rejuvenating for me. What else? Jessica, Tamara, I'm sorry, was it Tamara or Tamara?
Tamara.
Tamara.
Think Tony, New York. Tamara.
Tamara, how you doing?
Yeah.
All right. So Tamara, we, my community manager, which we actually call community engagement director. So I don't know if that's a title that appeals to you, but anyway, she and I, Tony's making a terrible face.
It's okay. Don't pay no attention to my faces. My face does not speak for me.
Okay. All right. So she and I are actually taking a little trip to Toronto later on this week. It's just in researching co-working spaces that I'm kind of interested in. There's like a bunch in Toronto, and I was like, well, that's super close to Chicago, and the flights were really cheap because who's going to Toronto in January? So yeah, we're just going to head out there for a couple days, end of this week, visit some places. Super excited about that. We've got another member event coming up in a few weeks. And then I'm actually going out of the country for 10 days on a trip that when I planned it, I was like, nah, it'll be fine. I'll have been open for a few months and we'll be rolling. No worries. So, and now it's kind of coming at an interesting time because we'll just see. We'll see what the schedule brings. That's it for me. Melanie, I like your new haircut.
Everybody's so new. Jen, thanks for that, and we'll kind of keep this evolving. But I appreciate you keeping your head up, and I'm really glad that you did that event. And we definitely need to keep doing more of that for your sake and for the community's sake. So
yeah, they really appreciated it.
Yeah, it helps keep things alive, over time. So good. Megan, how's things in Invermere?
Things are good, nice and warm. Unseasonably warm, so I can't complain. What are we, just a recap or what?
Well, introduce yourself because there's some people here who
Oh.
don't know you. But then what's going on? Like, where's your head at? It's the beginning of this is like the first full no holiday week of the year. So what are you thinking as far as the year ahead or at least the week ahead?
Okay. Hi, I'm Megan. I own a co-working spot in Invermere, British Columbia, a small mountain town with 3,500 people called the Mountain Hub. We opened July of last year, so we just hit the 6-month mark, which I feel like we kind of hit our stride a little bit, which feels really good. It's actually been a busy start to the new year, which is surprising. Things didn't really slow down over the holidays for us. We've had a couple interesting ventures or partnerships come our way. One is training. So a lot of training opportunities coming up for the new year for corporations and organizations in the community, which is going to be really interesting. And it's just determining how we make that fit. Do we make all the people that the corporation wants us to train members? Like how does that look? So that's going to be a really interesting, that'll be more in April. So that'll be an interesting kind of conundrum there. And then just programming like crazy. So we have weekly lunch and learns on Tuesdays. Those are filling up. I have a marketing masterclass that's pretty much full for the end of January. People are really excited about that. And about 3 new members as of January 1. So it's just kind of rocking and rolling.
Wow. Okay, great. Yeah, we're going to need to talk about, we'll see if we have time in this call, but would love to hear more about that partnership and you know, what the potential is there. So that's exciting.
Yeah. And I hate to be like, oh my God, I'm running out of space, but there's a little bit of a way that I'm thinking, how do I utilize my space a bit better? I'm not necessarily an interior designer. And I think that we talk a lot about this a lot as co-working places is how do we organize a space so that it's optimum, so that we still have that co-working component, but if people want that training during the day, it's not a huge interruption to our co-workers, which are really fundamental and important. But the training is also a really great way to kind of bring skills and knowledge to the community. So I don't want to say no to that. So how do I make both work together is going to be a bit of my challenge.
Gotcha. And I'll say if you have a floor plan you can send us, I think it'll help me visualize it a lot better if we can just see it. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be awesome to have some eyes on that. That'd be great. I'll send that.
Very good. And I was about to say on the car phone, like I'm an old AM radio host. On the phone, we've got Chad at CoMotion. Chad, are you with us? Are you able to join us over audio? Chad. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, I'm just on the phone. I'm just joining in. Hey guys, my name's Chad. I'm one of the partners at CoMotion. We just joined the group. On the other line, I got our community managers or directors now, so I'll let them chime in. But thanks for having us on, Tony.
Great, thanks and welcome, Chad. And are we gonna hear from your community manager now as well? Okay, so if anybody from hey, hello.
They should have a microphone. I think they're on the other line, so they should be able to speak if they have a microphone going here. Their webcam doesn't work today. They were supposed to have that going, but I'll see if they can hear us.
What's your CM's name?
Larissa and Abby are
cool. I can unmute them. It's kind of problematic that I can unmute somebody, like what if they need to be muted? Anyway, Larissa and Abby, can you hear us? Can we hear you? Oh, sorry, we're experiencing technical difficulties. All right, cool. When you get them worked out, just give us a shout and say hello, and we'll go from there. But
all right, I'll just introduce us. I guess if they're not working, I'm not in the space at the moment. So yeah, CoMotion is a co-working space in Hamilton, Ontario, in Canada, close to Toronto. So when you're visiting, hopefully you can come and visit us when you're at Toronto there. We are 2 years old, and we're in downtown. We had Oh, sorry, I'm cutting out there. I'm in the car, so I might cut out. Sorry, guys. We have a 10,000 square foot space. We have offices and desks and shared desks as well. And we've been doing this for a while. We've got some programming going, something similar to some of the programs that Tony's implemented. We have member introductions. We have volunteers in our space, and we're just looking to get more inspiration from other co-working spaces that are part of the group here, and get ready for 2019.
Awesome. All right. Really great to hear that, Chad, and excited to be connecting with the team once we iron out those difficulties, and good to have you guys along. I think we've covered everybody. Is there any? Oh, Mary, are you able to say hello? If you are, unmute yourself now. Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Mary. So good. Glad that you could join. How are things in Puerto Rico?
Things are well. They're actually great. We're on holiday today because we have the most holidays of any other nation I know of. So we're celebrating Three Kings Day today, and so our building has no AC today, so we kind of have to we force ourselves to take a break, which is kind of nice. So I'm still in my PJs, like doing laundry, so I didn't want to turn the video camera on.
Fair enough, Mary. And what's on your mind for the new year? Where are you going?
So I want to add more programs, and I'm taking notes with what everyone's kind of liking. I really like the member introductions because we're adding a lot of new members. And we're about to fill up again, which is kind of nerve-wracking. But yeah, a lot of programming, and then I want to start doing a bit of a content plan for the year to create more content, because a lot of people here still don't understand very well the co-working concept. So I want to start talking about it and trying to get that conversation going, so it's not just a shared space, but people get the community aspect of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hear you on that. I feel like it's kind of a common thread amongst a lot of the communities that we have here of wanting to communicate what this is about, what your space is beyond just a workspace. And I think that the answer, as many of you heard me say a million times, is through the programming that we can show a lot better than we can tell. And so a lot of what I want us to do more of focusing on as a group is telling that story through the gatherings that we're going to be hosting. And so the more we can coordinate those, the better, or at least the more that we can at least be kind of working on these things together. So that's definitely a common thread amongst what a lot of us in this group are talking about today. So let's talk more about how we can dive into that in a more specific manner. So thanks everybody for introductions. Have I missed anybody? Is there anyone who didn't introduce themselves? I think we've got everyone. Okay, good. So first of all, before we get into other stuff, is there anybody here who has like a burning desire to talk about a particular topic? I know we kind of touched on a few things already, but if there's something that's really alive for you, you'd really love to make use of the group brain trust, speak now or raise your hand or send a chat. And then if you change your mind on that and you do think of something you want to ask for some group time on, just pop in a message and let me know. But otherwise, I think what I'd like for us to do is talk more about the programming that we're going to be doing and anything that needs to be figured out as far as how to approach it. And maybe we can have somebody volunteer to kind of start with a hot seat of like what your programming planning is. So if you're like thinking about it, but you haven't had it all figured out, and we can brainstorm on it a little bit, use that as a starting point for conversation. I'll say that from my perspective, one of the things that I'm thinking about doing is leveraging this group better for all of our sakes. So if everybody here is doing new programming, can we elevate the visibility of that programming as a group? Can we show a little bit more what it looks like for independent co-working spaces to be doing good and just make that more visible? And can we be coordinating? Would there be value in us some number of us at least, trying to do a program that's maybe the same program at the same time, something along those lines. So I want to try to kind of get your thoughts on that. And the thought that I had in that direction was picking something that I know works for everybody that's pretty easy to run, like a work sprint, and picking a day later this month to see how many of us would be up for organizing a work sprint on the same day at the same time to kind of, you know, give it a little oomph and actually kind of stoke some collaborative spirit to see, you know, like which communities can like get people to show up and have like some good stories to tell. So I guess first of all, does that sound interesting? Let's start with that and then see if we can focus on one of you as a case study. What do you guys think?
I love that idea. We're actually planning on doing one on January 17th.
January 17th. Okay. January 17th. Cool.
So, and I have a quick question, Jen. If you're not open yet, how are you doing this? These little sprints and where are you meeting and things like that? Because I'm trying to build my community right now, but I don't really have a space. So, where do you do this? Oh, I can't hear you.
Holiday luncheon was just at a local restaurant. And then our work sprint is going to be at a local cafe. And so we've talked to them. You know, we're buying a tray of pastries and we'll buy coffee for the group.
Okay.
Hey, Katrina, it's Chad. When we started our space, we had co-working sessions at a coffee shop. It just so happens there's a coffee shop in the just like a block away. So we ended up doing it there. We used meetup.com and Eventbrite and those sort of sites to create the event and then promoted it on social media and had people come out and just try co-working. We also pre-sold memberships and offices before we opened officially. Obviously, it's easier when you have a space. We had like a little open house, pre-construction open house, when there wasn't even doors on the offices sort of thing, just an empty space, and had some mock-ups of some of the furniture we're going to be buying and stuff, just to get people excited about the vision of what's going to happen, and then pre-sold them at a high discounted rate for the first year just to get some people on board. And we had a massive sort of grand opening pre-construction open house event, and there was lots of people from the community there that came. We had like 200 people, I think, that came out, and they were just really like half of the people were not really interested in the space and like in joining a co-working space, but they were there from the community just to support us. And we had the mayor come and stuff like that. So you can just make it an event that's just exciting people about what's going on in the city and what the space is going to bring to the area, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's important to be able to do community gatherings long before you physically open a space, because you don't want the first time everyone hangs out together to be when they're walking in the door of your space. You want people to know each other already and have hung out for a while. And so having one or several home bases that you can use to lead you up to the opening of the space is super valuable and important. And you know, so like cafes are an obvious option, but depending on your geography, it could be a lot of different things. It could be someone else's office. It could be a Panera Bread. It could be a restaurant or a bar even. A lot of different kind of potential things. In some cases, it could be a person's home. You know, if somebody's got a nice big living room and a big house or whatever, I've seen that work. So yeah, highly recommend. And like work sprints are great because it's people actually co-working together, and it helps people focus, and it helps people, create this sense of camaraderie that we're helping each other get stuff done.
I also do a hotel, so like a townhome suite, something like that. That's what we did. We just kind of befriended the marketing manager, and she liked it because it was good promo for them. And so that's where we did ours, because the coffee shops around are just so crowded and difficult and noisy. So that's what we do.
Yeah, I can definitely noisy. Okay.
Hotels in the larger cities, I don't know about in the smaller cities, but definitely in the larger cities, hotels have been going nuts providing free hangout space. There are so many places in New York now that are incredibly gorgeous and free to hang out and work in, and they're amazing. I mean, that's like my main place to go co-work now when I'm in the city, is just hanging out at whatever hotel is nearby, and they're really nice. So I think they can, for the larger cities at least, they could be a great home base for co-working meetups for, temporary basis.
Well, I actually have use of, so like my formal conference room is actually part of my building owner. We're going to share all of that. So I love the idea of this whole, open house, pre-construction open house. So it's like we could do a cultivation work sprint and then go downstairs to that conference room. They can actually start using some of the resources that they're going to have available to them that I can't use right now for free.
That's perfect. Exactly. So the more you're creating that cadence of like, this is where I go, where this stuff happens, that's really warming people up to, then they know like, this is where I go to get coffee before, and this is where I park, or like, like all those kind of routines start to set in.
Great. Okay.
Feedback. Yeah. So that's great.
Huge help.
Other thoughts on this work sprint idea?
I have a question. So it was something that somebody said, I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was. Do we want to open this up to originally we were going to do it just for our members, but now I'm thinking maybe we open it up to a limited amount of non-members. I don't know.
Are you talking about day house members?
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. So what I'm picturing is that something like this, for the particular iteration that I'm talking about right now, is that we're giving people kind of a sample of what it will be like as a member on a more frequent basis. So, you might even cast this. There's a couple ways to do this. You can make it totally public and say this is kind of a free sample of what we're going to be doing as paying members more often. And obviously, if you're not open yet, then that's probably the way that you want to go. But the other way that you can play with it is to say this is members only. But if you're interested in joining, here's where you can. Basically email me and we'll get you an invite. And or people that maybe have come on a tour in the past and you're looking for an excuse to send them a fresh email, something like that. You can say, hey, we're doing this members only thing. But if you're interested, I'll get you an invite, essentially. So you're creating this sense of value and exclusiveness that they're getting into something.
Nice.
Yeah. Other thoughts on this work sprint thing? Does it sound compelling? Does it sound like something that could work into your plans? This could be a way of transitioning into talking about your planning and what you're up to. And Melanie, I'm thinking about you, and I'm thinking about Megan, and maybe some of the other folks, but just the context of like, as you're thinking about your approach, maybe tell us, Melanie, a little bit more about what you're thinking as far as the evolved take on COBOS.
Yeah. So I did incorporate work sprints into the COBOS program. So, I do have it where members and non-members can participate in the program. There is a fee for non-members. There's also a fee for members because I've created additional things on top of just having like a mastermind group. But what I discovered is that when groups got together, they had such different interests and at such different levels that some of the people got bored and lost interest about halfway through the program. And so I was taking surveys and trying to find out like which is why I created the 3 different types of groups that they can participate in based on the experience that they want out of that period of time. but I did incorporate work sprints so that those who are non-members can get that experience of what it's like to work in the collaborative environment each week. And I also tried out a work along, which was a website work along where I invited non-members to come in, and the focus was just on one specific thing, which was websites. And that was well attended. It was fun. And yeah, so I think having work sprints is a great idea.
Can you tell me more about what a work along is?
Yes, so we have a couple of members here at Wingspace who are really good at websites, you know, all sorts of websites, everything from WordPress to Squarespace and Wix and all that kind of stuff. So they made themselves available to be working in the open co-working area. And we had a specific time. It was a one morning, I think it was like a Wednesday or Thursday morning, something like that. And for that period of time, non-members could come in and they could work in close proximity to these people, and they asked each other questions, they helped each other out, gave each other input, and it was only 2 hours long. And we got people in to experience that, you know, collaborative work environment.
Awesome. Very cool. And if I wanted to see kind of where you're promoting this now, I see you've got like is it wingspace.biz/coboss? Is that what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to drop it in the chat for other folks who might want to have a look at what you're doing and maybe get inspiration in terms of your copy and how you're doing it. And I see you've got the non-member rate and then the member rate, which is pretty cool. So that you are getting people who are currently members to pay an upgrade to be a part of it. That's great. Yeah. Neat. All right, very cool. So what questions are you grappling with as you're thinking about how to approach it now? Like what do you think we should try to work through on this call?
As far as the COBOS program?
Yes, unless you got something else that you're more interested in.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I have any specific questions. I was really hoping to hear how other people were doing programs, what kind of things that they were doing, just to get inspired as well for other types of programs. Here's one thing. I heard someone mention their lunch and learns, their weekly lunch and learns. And one of the things that I'm doing now, because I have a lot of non-members that would love to attend them, but they can't because of time, their schedule. And so we started recording them. And so all of our people who teach these, they'll sign a little agreement that they're willing to be recorded. And we're going to be putting them up on a platform online so non-members can pay a small fee to access them anytime.
I like the sound of that. That sounds super neat. Yeah.
Just to toss something else out there.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a lot of collective knowledge and expertise in these communities. And the more that you can kind of position yourself as an entity that can elevate the amazingness of the people in your community and that you can all benefit from that. I mean, that sounds super smart.
Thank you.
Can you talk more about that?
It's been Melanie? Great. I tell you, these people here are smart. They're so smart.
So can you tell me more, like what's next? Like, what are you doing to implement it?
To implement
that program, to like get those that stuff up and running.
The COBOT or the lunch and learns you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. So we're calling it Solo B School, so that people who are independent workers can, you know, be interested and hop on so they can learn from those who are in the community. So I have a gentleman who shows up every Wednesday with his camera and he records the whole thing. He edits everything. The people who show up with their PowerPoints, they send the PowerPoint over to him. at the end of their class, and he puts everything together. So we have a partnership, and where we're going to be putting it up and hopefully launching by the end of February, because we have about 16, we'll probably have about 20 recordings once it goes up live. And then it'll just keep continuing. We'll continue to add more and more classes as they become available.
Wow. Wow. Super great. It makes so much sense, because I'm thinking about these like lists of people that if you can find a really good practitioner, that they're super useful, in terms of just saving you a lot of trouble in a community, like a lawyer and like a IT person, having like an amazing video producer, editor, camera person, can be really worth its weight in gold. So do you have like a revenue share arrangement, or do you just pay yeah, you do?
Yeah.
And is it you and the producer and the educator, and all three of you get a cut?
Everybody's who's teaching the class, it's all volunteer, and they understand that this is about helping us build the community here. So it's awesome.
Nice. The benefit they get is the visibility, right? Like it helps them maybe with.
So it's like a marketplace for them. They get to market who they are and how to get in contact with them to help too.
It's so smart, Melanie. That's so smart. Please keep us posted on that. I feel like more of us should be copying this idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any thoughts, feedback for Melanie? Questions?
Yeah, it's a great idea. It's been something I've been toying with, is putting them online, and something that people have been asking for a lot. I just haven't got around to it. So that's a little bit of a push for me. So thanks for sharing. It's awesome. And I love all your names. All your names for your programs are really clever. I might need some help with that.
Cool. Megan, while we've got you, do you want to tell us just a little bit more about what's on your mind, and maybe any questions that are coming up, or anything you want to brainstorm with us a little bit?
One thing that I find for my co-working space is that, so for my weekly lunch and learns, it's probably 80% non-members, 20% members, which is great because a lot of those people then in turn become members. So it's a great generator, like a demand generation tool. And I think one thing that my co-working space is a little bit different that I kind of struggle with is that majority of the people that do use the space aren't necessarily members. And they don't need the space, but they want it as a hub for interaction. And so it's creating memberships around that level of participation that is them not necessarily needing the space, but them still feeling a part of that community. And that's what I kind of struggle with. So the programming is geared towards everyone, and most likely it'll always be everyone, with the option, so I'll have member pricing and non-member pricing. So that's kind of where I struggle with, is making sure that it's still very member oriented while not cutting off my nose to spite my face.
Yeah. Okay. So you have a $30 a month community membership, which is kind of the sweet spot for exactly this. Does that not work?
Sometimes the problem with those cheaper memberships is that I have a lot of those people then, when they're not coming, like if they're going away for a holiday for a month, they're canceling. And then they're rejoining. And when I'm trying to communicate it to them in the new year, is that we operate all year round, whether they're away or not. So their participation and their support for us, even when they're not going to use it for 10 days, we still appreciate them giving us that $30. So they don't, it's almost like there's not that much skin in the game.
How many people do that? Like how many people have you seen do that?
I've had 10.
Holy God. You got like a funny little cadre of cheapskates there. It's kind of funny.
I think it's the community that I'm into. Just smaller town. People don't have as much disposable income to use something that they feel like they're not using. And then when they're back, they're more than happy to be like, hey, I'm back. Okay, let's start it up again.
Yeah. So I've got a couple quick solution thought brainstorms that come up real fast. One is playing with a registration fee that gets charged every time someone joins, which I always like. I've never done it. I don't like it, but
Yeah.
you know, and you can be generous in waiving it. Tamara's like, yeah, go for it. Even if it's like $30, right? So it's like, you know, an additional $30 to sign up to cancel. So then there's like, you know, it's not worth it to cancel for a month. And it's labor for you to like add or remove that person from whatever. So you know, you could lose some people. But the other thing is I'm thinking about creating some sense of continuity. So part of what makes the community membership work, and if you really do see a critical mass forming in community membership, that's awesome, because you can have 100, 200 people at that level without having to expand your space, which is great.
Yeah.
Good margins. But you need to be able to have a robust way for people to feel like they're part of the community even when they're not physically there. So if you could create some sense of like, you know, like we have with Cotivation or this Co-Boss program where, you know, there's a kickoff. The Lunch and Learn maybe is your vehicle for it, to say, okay, everybody in the group, jump on this Google Doc and, you know, put in your goals for the next 3 months. And then when we come in, like, we'll have a chance to check in. But as a member, you'll be able to check in on a discussion group once a week where we'll all kind of update the status or something like that. So there's a little continuity where even if I don't come in, if I'm traveling or whatever, I still can meet in the Slack group or whatever it is, you know, once a week to just check in. I think what I've seen with the successfully run community membership groups is that they are able to funnel people into an online space where there's some sense of place and gathering that happens in a very short time window. So like getting a Slack group to be active is super hard. It's really, really, really hard. But the same way that you get a community to be active works for a Slack community, which is you need it to only work once a week for 15 minutes. And if you can get the Slack community to work once a week for 15 minutes, then the rest of it is gravy. Like if people decide to chat more during the rest of the time, fine. But you want it to be a busy, exciting, like active place once a week, right? Like, you know, just if you can get that going, then I think that makes a big difference. And it could just be like, you know, maybe attached to the Lunch and Learn where, you know, if you can't show up, then check in on Slack, you know, that morning or something so that you're able to make an update. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. I love that tip about making it work once a week for 15 minutes, because I think we're always striving to have like it just buzzing all the time.
You have a Slack?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not very successful at all. And the feedback is people don't really want another tool to engage on.
Yeah.
So slowly kind of working with that, and then try to Facebook group, and people like the in-person contact. So they'll just come and drop in and chat that way here. Yeah. But I do like that idea. And I think that, yeah, it's driving that value in the online space when they can't physically be here. That's still, they see that there's a value in a continuity, because obviously there isn't a continuity. It's like, oh, well, I'm not going to be using it for a month and then cancel. Like that totally is apparent.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. Yeah, keep us posted on how it goes. I'm thinking about all of this for this group as well, that, you know, creating some continuity and giving us a little bit more of a group dynamic that doesn't require attending these video meetings. Because basically what I'm finding is the people who drop off are the ones who just don't make it into their schedule to come to these meetings, and then, you know, we kind of lose them. So if there's a little bit of greater context to the way that we all get to connect to each other, then that helps. Basically, I need to start taking some of my own advice for this group. So, so actually to that end, man, this hour is moving fast. I am playing with this idea of cohorts, and the idea is to try to give us a way of supporting each other and sticking to some goals and getting some help when we run into trouble with, while adding minimal amount of additional time and energy to our weeks. I know getting on a synchronous, simultaneous video call is a really big ask. So I want to be able to find a way for this community to provide each other value without having to add more video calls to your week. And so the idea with the cohorts is we group members of this community together who have similar interests or on a similar path, and then give them an opportunity to get a little bit deeper into the context of their work, so they kind of know each other, they kind of know what they're working on, and can dig a little deeper into the specifics of it, without having to be all in the same call all the time. So you maybe can chat and maybe have an email update, whatever the group decides. And so I want to experiment with it if y'all are game for it. And I know I wrote about it. I think I mentioned it in a message over the holidays, but what did you guys think of that idea? And do you have any feedback for me before we call it a day here? I'm loving seeing Tamara get ready for her TV interview. I'm just saying, it's great. I love it.
I think it's a great idea. I love it. There is one thing to watch out for. Sometimes it's good to hear about people who are in different stages, just to like kind of see what's coming down the road, or revisit an old idea. So I don't know if there's some way to mitigate that. I don't know. Overall, I really like the idea.
Cool. Yeah, I'm thinking we still keep this weekly call, which is the watering hole for everybody. So you'll still have the chance to see from everyone's perspective.
Okay.
I love the different groups, the different cohorts that you created. I think it hits kind of all the stages.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
great.
I wanted to be part of more than one too, though. I was like, I'm
well, so what I'm thinking is we pick the one that's closest, and then once we see what the participation's like, it might be that there are two groups that are basically the same, or they get combined, because I'm already finding, virtually everybody fits into at least one, probably two groups. So cool. All right. Any other thoughts or questions? All right. So what I'm thinking is I would actually love for you guys to help me jumpstart this. So I created a Google Doc, which I just pasted into the chat. And it's just like kind of a little lightweight sign up form. And that way I can get a sense of who's down for this and who wants to give it a try. And then we'll start to convene people based on once we get a critical mass going over the next week or so, we can start to get people to actually form and schedule meetings. So if all of you who are inclined can just jump in there and start adding your names to it. I added a general intentions column. I don't know if I want to keep that or not, but maybe just like a way to just pop in a few quick little notes on there. If you feel so inclined, you could come back to it. But yeah, give it a look if that's cool with you. Oh, it's so nice to see people's faces showing up on a Google Doc. Melanie, what's up?
Yeah, I got a question for you. Earlier in the hour, you mentioned discussing ways that we might want to collaborate on some things as with other co-working spaces. Did you have any other comments about that? Like, what ideas did you have?
Yeah, so the idea that I have is to have there's two things. There's one is to have a coordinated day where we all do a work sprint. And I'll just tell you my dream of how that would work, which is that we get like some critical mass of us, more than a handful of us to do a work sprint on the same day. For example, January 22nd, and that we promote it as a thing that we're doing across different spaces, and that there's a slight competitive element. So what we would do is people who would participate in each work sprint would contribute to a to-done list for your community. So if you do like the wing space work sprint on to the 22nd, everybody gets to like dump onto a Google Doc, like we're all doing now on this Google Doc, stuff that we got done on that day, and so that way everybody gets to see what everybody else got done. There's a nice little social dynamic in terms of the local group. You get to see what other people are working on, and that provides some opportunities for people to help each other. But then we get to report back to the global group to say, well, here at Wingspace on January 22nd, we all helped each other get focused, and these are the things that got done. 15 people achieved 120 things, and here are some highlights of some things that happened. This person launched this new website that they were trying to work on for 6 months, right? And this person finished this thing. So you could highlight some accomplishments, and then we could collectively talk about all the good stuff that got done in our work sprint events amongst all of our communities, and play up, look at all the cool productivity that happened in these cool social events that happen. By the way, if you're in one of these cities, you should check out these spaces, because we're going to do this again next month. How's that sound? And then, so the question that I have is, how prescriptive do we get about this in terms of it being the same day? Because that's probably going to be harder logistically for us to coordinate. Or do we say that this is maybe within a time range, like that week or something like that, so everybody has a little wiggle room? What do you guys think?
I think a week, the general time frame, could work. I think we need to have it on the same day, but logistically that might be difficult. I guess it depends how much advance notice we have.
Yeah. Maybe what would make sense is we kind of try to aim for the same day, but then if you need to adjust it, then so be it. Jen's already got one on the calendar for next week, so all good, right? Okay. All right, that sounds good. So I do have a sign-up form for that. And it is, if y'all are down for it, you want to test it out, we'd love to. Let's just go for it. We're gonna do cohorts. We're gonna do work sprints. Let's do some cool stuff. Who's down to test this out? Hey, all right, all hands up. I like it. Great. Oh, Mary, great. You too. Okay, I just sent you the sign-up form. And if y'all want to test that out, I will then use that as my accountability to actually publishing a landing page and doing some social media push around it, which is so great, because this is exactly what I've been needing, is a little accountability to take some of this to the finish line. So yeah, and you know what? I'm realizing I made an RSVP link required, and I don't. Yeah, I guess if you don't have it yet, then just write TBD, and I'll you can send it to me later, and we'll make it editable, or I'll give you access to the sheet and you can edit it yourself. This is so exciting. Are you guys doing this? Is it happening? I don't see any names on the cohorts yet. Is this you're going to do it? Do you promise you're going to work on this after the call? Because I know if it were me and I were in your seat, what I would do is I would as soon as the video goes off, I go immediately to lunch or to email or whatever, and then the tab rots in my browser. So will you guys do me a favor and look at this today?
I think it's view only for the. I think you got to open up.
What was that, Jen?
It says view only.
Oh,
yeah. It says you have to.
All right, stand by. You should all have access already, because I thought I put it in a toolkit, but okay. See, I'm the jerk. There you go. All right, I refresh it or whatever. I just made it so that you can all edit it.
Mine still says view only.
For the cohorts?
Yeah, the NWC cohorts, exclamation point.
Mine too.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Might have to refresh.
I'm gonna put a new link into the chat. It's the same document, but maybe it will make a difference.
Okay, now it's gone.
Hey, Jen is editing. Yay. Dollar bills. Love it. Love it. Okay, I want to see one more people put
I like that Southern yawn.
Yeah.
Makes me feel more at home.
Yeah.
Very. Love it. All right, very good. We got it going. All right, guys, how are we feeling? Are we excited? Are we having fun? Excellent. I'm excited to get some folks who aren't on this video call in on this game as well. We're going to have some fun. Okay, thank you so much for participating in this new stuff I'm doing. It's really going to help me feel good about kind of charging forward with this group for 2019. So appreciate you all being a part of this and being excited and for doing all the good stuff you're doing. And talk more in a week. Keep being awesome. Have a great interview, Tamara.
I'll send you guys the link when it's up.
Okay, yes, please do. Yeah, please share.
Fancy, but it'll hopefully be good for us.
Yeah, totally. The more media, the better. Can't hurt.
Yeah.
All right.
See you later, everyone.
Yeah.